about fears. Let's talk about love. Yeah, I got fears, but I ain't got no love.
So today we're going to hear from Betty. Now, Betty reached out to me in regards to watching the last episode about the boys from out of town. And she believes that she had an encounter with Ron that needs some explaining. And she is going to talk to me about Ron and what her feelings is and a personal experience that she had with him in the Bellefonte area of where Brenda went missing. What the story that she is going to tell, I believe, could possibly, hate to say it, but it could have put an end to the Brenda Condon mystery. Why don't you watch and see what you have to think about what she has to say, and then I'll come back and give my reaction and my thoughts on her interview. Stay tuned.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Did I catch you at an okay time?
Yes, it's perfect. I made sure people weren't around and I could talk without interruptions.
All right. Well, let's just start with your email to me, and let me preface this by saying I hope it's okay that I record this because I record all my interviews. If you don't want anything published, that's okay as well. I can make sure that that doesn't happen, but I do like to have it for my investigative purposes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And I would just also like to state that I was always so leery about getting involved in this investigation, especially back then.
Sure.
Because of all the I guess the rumors that were going around about what had happened to her, dealing with drugs and things like that. And there were a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, we're 33 years removed from that, and I can promise you, as much as I can promise you, you're safe now. So anything that you can tell me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I guess I can start with, I did not know the crew. I did know Ron. I don't know his last name, but after I watched your last video,
yep,
it was so familiar.
Okay.
Because that's exactly what he did in my bar.
Okay.
He would sit at the end of the bar, and now I did talk to the police a couple times about this, and I'm going to tell you maybe a couple things that I did not tell them, only because I was afraid back then.
Sure.
I did sleep with Ron, and that's what prompted me to call because of the weirdness about it.
Okay. Do you mean it prompted you back then?
No, they came to me. The police came to me. I had no idea that they were even, had my name.
Sure.
Let alone, but they came to me, and I did not tell them that part of it.
Okay.
I did tell them that, yes, he came to my bar. Yes, that was Ron. And and up until recent years, did I see that sketch, and I was like, that's Ron.
Okay. So what year do you think the police came to you?
Oh my goodness. It had to have been within a couple years because I was working at the Southridge Motor Inn whenever they first contacted me. And I think also then I was in a new relationship with my future husband, which I'm divorced many years since then.
Okay, so you think it was pretty close to 1991?
Yeah. Well, no, maybe it was... Yeah, because we didn't get married till 99. Maybe that wasn't... But I met him when I was working at the Southridge. And that might have been a few years afterwards.
Okay. And
I'm not really, it's been so long, I'm not really sure of all the...
I know, that's okay. But when you say the Southridge Motor Inn, is that where you met Ron?
No, I met him. I was bartending at the hotel that they stayed at.
And what hotel was that?
Oh goodness, that thing has changed names. I'm thinking it was the Days Inn at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to also put out another name for you.
Sure.
I don't know if she will talk to you, but she was the manager of the Days Inn at the time.
Okay.
And she may have information about, the company and more information personally about them.
Tell me about how you met Ron and what you know about the crew. I know you said you don't really know anybody else, so I guess nobody else was staying there or nobody else visited the bar where you were bartending?
Well, if they did, I didn't. Ron was the only one that made himself, available at the time, probably because he was very flirtatious.
Okay.
And he would often come in there whenever I don't want to say often, but I remember a few times we would shoot pool together when the bar wasn't busy, when there was nobody in there or just one or two people. But he would come in and he would sit at the end of the bar and, very flirtatious, talk.
How often would he come into the bar?
At first, it was almost on a daily basis. I mean, whenever I was working, because I wasn't, I didn't work every single night of the week.
Right.
The other bartender, unfortunately, that worked there has passed away.
Okay. That's okay. All right. And so then what? How's this progress?
We started talking, and like I said, we would shoot pool, this and that. One night after I closed the bar, I went back to his room, which I wasn't supposed to do. That might have been a reason why I didn't say anything at the time.
Sure.
Because I'm doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing. And it was just, I was very promiscuous back then. Let's start with that. I'm not anymore, but I was back then.
Okay.
I was very early 20s, I'm going to say, back then.
Okay. And how old was he at the time?
I have no idea. I'm going to guess at least 30.
Okay.
At least.
Okay.
I mean, he could have been older. He could have been a few years younger, but I'm going to put it in that 30-ish range.
Okay. Go ahead.
Personally, things about him, I did not know. We didn't, I guess, talk that much about that, but I'm just, after I watched your last video, like I said, I seen so much familiar stuff.
Like what?
Like the fact that he would sit at the bar, with her. Now, he did tell me that he went there.
Okay.
I do remember that specifically. He told me he went to Carl's.
Anything particular about it, or just that he's been frequenting there, or?
Pretty much just that we frequented there.
Yeah.
I don't know that he would have told me much more because we had had an intimate relationship before that.
Okay.
Chloe, that's enough. I'm sorry.
That's
She's a little darker.
That's okay. So you obviously, I'm guessing, knew when Brenda disappeared, at least that next week, because it was pretty big headlines, I guess, right?
Yes, and I don't remember in LA. I don't remember seeing Ron too much after that. I don't know that he was working in the area still, but I remember him telling me him working in Snowshoe. He would talk about the Bomb Boys, the boys up there in Snowshoe.
The Bomb Boys.
Bomb Boys.
What is that?
He says they're crazy ones. I don't know if he found a bar up there that he was going to, that he met them, or he found them out in the woods somewhere, or they came to the site they were working. I was never really clear on how he knew about them. I mean, I've always heard of the Bomb Boys. I think they owned a garage or something like that out that way. Okay.
What was your sense of Ron? Like, what was your feelings about him? Like, cool guy? You already said flirtatious. Did he seem devious, nefarious, anything? And I know it's been 30 years, so it's a lot for you to
he was, there was an incident when we were playing pool one time, and I had accidentally, or, kind of playfully, I bumped his pool stick, and he did get a little angry at that, which I thought was a little, because it wasn't like we were playing for money or anything like that. It was just a joking thing.
Right.
But he got upset about that, and I thought that, okay. But this was after, that we had been together.
Okay.
I tried to avoid any more intimate contact with him because of the way that that time was.
And explain that to me.
Okay, he was kind of rough, I would say, but not hurting rough. I guess I'd never experienced anything like that. I mean, I feel kind of weird going into detail about this, but I feel like it's important that you need to know.
Okay. Well, don't feel weird. If you feel it's important, share it.
At one point during the sex, he had stood me up and he had put me in front of him with my back towards him, and he had put his hand up around my throat. Now, that made me really nervous at the time, and I remember feeling scared a little bit, and then it wasn't but 5-10 minutes after that, I just quickly left the room.
Okay. And you had no more sexual contact with him after that?
No, I did not, because that made me feel very uncomfortable.
Okay. I'm sure you would have said this already, but did he mention Brenda or any of the bartenders down at Carl's?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
No, he didn't. But he did mention that he was over there because I think he was just, it was a Carlsbad Tavern. And the name of it, I think, was something that he was attracted to, I would say. I don't know. He just thought it was a unusual name or,
okay. All right. Would you get a lot of customers from Carlsbad's to come up your way?
It's very possible because at the time we would have DJs in every Thursday night.
Okay.
So it's possible that they would come over my way.
Right.
But and when we had the DJ, it was very busy and it was very hard to, unless I knew you as a person, I probably wouldn't recognize you.
Right. Would he stay at the bar after closing or during closing while you're cleaning up or anything like that?
He did it first.
Okay.
Because he was trying to talk me into going back to his room. He did it first, but then after that, no. I mean, and then after we had that little,
right.
thing and I freaked out, I really didn't, aside from, playing pool with him once in a while, and there was always somebody, at least one other person in the bar. Very rarely was it just me and him, unless it was getting to be closing time. But after that, he never stayed past 7, 8 o'clock, maybe 9, if that. I mean, our bar closed pretty early. It was always closed and down by 10. Okay.
But he would hang out with you alone, like before you guys had relations? Yeah. Would there be anybody else in there?
Bar for hours.
Just you and him?
Well, there would be other patrons coming in and out, during this time. As far as his crew, I don't remember him talking to anybody else there, or I just don't remember the crew. I don't. And maybe if I've seen them,
okay,
I might remember a face or two. But as far as I may have interacted with them, just not knowing who they were.
Right. Was he a big drinker? Or normal?
Pretty normal, but some, once or twice he got a little overboard, I remember. But I never said much because he was staying at the hotel. He wasn't driving anywhere.
Right. Well, you say that he was trying to, he'd flirt with you and try to get you to go back to his room. How would he do that? Give me an example of what he did or would do.
little comments, like he came right out and asked me, you should come back to my room with me tonight and this and that. And I'd be like, and for the longest, the few times I tell him no.
Right.
I can't do that. Well, for some reason, one night I did.
Well, when he would do that and talk to you like that, would that be more towards when the bar's closing or like in the middle of, a busy shift?
It was just all the time. I won't say it was any like one specific time.
Okay.
I mean, he mentioned it like maybe the whole time he was there or, but after, like I said, after Brenda disappeared, I rarely seen him, if at all. I don't remember seeing him at all after that.
Okay.
I could have maybe, in passing or something, but, I don't remember. It's like I said, it's been a lot of years in my memory of that. But I do remember him specifically. I don't know why this man sticks in my head.
And he looks like the younger person in that sketch?
Oh, yes, definitely. And as soon as I seen it, I'm like, that's Ron. I know that's Ron.
What type of jacket do you remember that he would be wearing?
It was a black jacket. I can't remember if it was leather but he would always wear it. And he had I remember kind of curly black hair, so kind of greasy looking.
Yeah. Well, that's him.
Yeah, and he had this, the way his face is, his lips pursed almost like a woman's,
Okay.
Almost. And it was, yeah, I remember him, but I don't, that face just never left my mind.
Why do you think that of all the thousands of people probably that you have seen there that you remember him?
I think it's because that one encounter that we had.
Is that right?
Freaked me out so much.
Okay. And you guys
I never had anybody like put their hands near my throat or anything like that. It just kind of, freaked me out.
I understand. So let's fast forward then until the cops come and talk to you. So they come to the Southridge Motor Inn to talk to you?
Yes, they did. I remember at least 2 occasions there.
2 different occasions police came.
I think so. I mean, I definitely one. I'm not sure if I was at another place when I talked to him, but I know I talked to them at least twice over the years. Maybe 3 times. I really don't remember the third, but the first one, at least 2.
Okay, tell me about the first time. I'm sure you remember that because it probably caught you by surprise and off guard.
Yeah, they had questioned me about Ron and what I knew about him, and
well, how did they know
everything I said to you minus the
sleeping with him?
The sex part?
But why? How did they find you? Why did they come talk to you about Ron of all the people?
I'm guessing because he frequented my bar and he was staying at the hotel where I worked.
Okay.
I think it might be just I got the impression they wanted to get some kind of see what his personality was like.
Right.
Because I think when a guy frequents a bar a lot, the bartender could learn a lot about them.
Sure. Did they show you any photographs of Ron and say, hey, this is the guy? Is this the guy? Is this Ron?
No, they did not. They just asked me about, the name. I knew the name. I knew he was staying there. I knew the description of him, but, they never showed me a photo.
Okay.
Because I would have said, yes, that's Ron, if they would have showed me that picture, that sketch.
The sketch. And they never showed you the sketch either.
No. I came across that sketch a few years later, and like I said, I really wish I would have come forward to that with this, but I didn't feel like the police were doing anything at the time because, like I said, they had questioned me, and I never seen where it went anywhere with what I said.
Right.
With the information I gave them. So I never, but when I seen that sketch, I was like, I know that, and it's been in my mind, and I'm thinking, it and on all honesty, that could have been me.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, if Ron did anything. It certainly could have been you, but there's no indication that right now that Ron's involved in this. Go ahead.
I just have a really bad feeling about this guy. I do. I don't know what it is right in my guts. I just, from that last, ever since that encounter we had,
yeah,
it just, I had a bad feeling about him. I just didn't, to me it was bad news, and then I just kind of distanced myself. As far as much as I could, because like I said, I worked right there where he stayed.
Right. And after your encounter with him back into his room, was that before or after Brenda disappeared?
That was before.
Okay.
Because like I said, I don't remember seeing much of him, if I seen him at all, after that.
Okay.
I mean, I could have, but my mind was, I was just so, it's like what happened to this girl, like everybody else, was, all these rumors going around. And, Carl, into the drugs, he could have, put her in. I've heard all the rumors, and it just scared me. I had a young child at the time. I didn't want.
Yeah, and I'm sure the rumors, of all those rumors, Ron wasn't a part of any of those rumors, correct?
No, he wasn't.
Right. You're hearing rumors about Greg, the boyfriend, and you're hearing rumors about Carl, the bar owner.
That's why whenever they approached me about Ron, I was a little, because I started hearing rumors before the cops came.
What kind of?
To me.
Rumors about Ron, or?
About what had happened to her. Nothing to do with Ron. So whenever they approached me about Ron, I was a little, I was taken aback a little bit. I'm going to say I wasn't really surprised because of his demeanor. Towards the end, he was a little bit short with me. He was a little, not as friendly, we'll say.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, and what I'm trying to ascertain is whether he stopped coming around you because of the sexual incident, or if it was because of something other, maybe with Brenda.
In my honest opinion, what I think happened, this is going to sound wild, but the more I think about that time and everything that happened, it would not surprise me that he would sit at the bar until the end of the night and ask her to go for a ride.
Mm-hmm.
That would not surprise me at all. And after the encounter that I had with him, like I said, it freaked me out. I don't know how another girl would react to it.
Right. Well, did he start choking you or anything, or just make the motion?
He made the motions, and as soon as it was there, I kind of moved away.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so uncomfortable.
Okay. Did you guys speak about it afterwards?
No, there was nothing said to each other afterwards. I got dressed and I left. Like I said, the incident really freaked me out.
Okay. Well, this is all good info, so I appreciate you coming forward. To me, people like you that come forward, you guys are the heroes if things work out, because it's so easy when something is a little embarrassing or uncomfortable to keep it inside and not say anything. And most people do that. And the people that let it out, like you, to me, you're the hero. So I just wanted to get that out to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just feel like I should have come out a long time ago. But up until I started watching your episodes, I didn't feel like people would listen or listening too much.
Right. Well, again, it's individualism. You can't hold an entire state police at fault, or entire Spring Township for the acts of a few individuals that may be in charge of the investigation. So
I understand that. And so I think maybe one of the reasons why my first ex-husband was very wanted by the law all the time.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had the same last name as him.
Mm.
So maybe they didn't take me as a credible witness at the time because of that.
Right. Well,
You know?
maybe, or, I mean, again, it's possible that, Ron has nothing to do with anything. He was just a guy who visited two bars that were close to each other, and they couldn't ID him from Carlsbad Tavern because he wasn't from the area. So they make a sketch of the last person that was in the bar, but it certainly doesn't mean that he did anything wrong with her. He could have been the last person there and left and went back to his room.
I agree.
But right, you don't know that.
What I know of Ron, though, I mean, that is definitely Ron. That sketch, if that was the sketch of the last, that is Ron. I can say that for certain.
Okay. Well, that's very good info. I mean, that puts him in the bar, and, you say that he told you personally that he was in that bar.
Yes, he did.
Did he say anything about his personal life?
Where
he lived?
that I can recall.
Okay.
Nothing. I mean, I've been going over this the last couple months, and should I call? Should I? I like I said, I've been really racking my brain with this one for a while.
Yeah.
Mostly, I think it's just because I'm telling the intimate part of it.
Yeah. Yep. I understand that.
But I think that part has, I mean, if indeed he was, I mean, which I believe that he was trying to pursue Brenda.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just an intuition thing. I can't, I wasn't there. I didn't see, but that's an intuition thing. I do believe that he was trying to pursue her. It could have happened, like I said, she could have went for a ride with him. I mean, her car, that would explain taking her purse and her keys.
Did you
But I don't know. I'm not going to point, but he just, after that incident, he seemed to me like the most likely person. I mean, I don't want to believe I was with somebody like that.
Right. Do you remember what he was driving at the time?
I have no idea. I never went in a vehicle with him.
Okay.
I'm going to guess they had company vehicles.
Okay. How did he pay for his drinks and stuff? Did they have a credit card or did they use cash?
I believe he paid cash.
Okay. Credit cards weren't used too much.
Might have had a card there for them because we had a restaurant in the bar too, or in the hotel.
Right.
So they could have had running a tab on a credit card for their meals and the room.
And did Ron ever tell you his last name?
If he did, I do not remember. I mean, if I would ever hear it, I would probably know it, but I don't. At this stage, I don't remember.
Okay.
He very well could have told me. I don't remember him ever telling me a lot of personal things about him. Other than he was from New Jersey. That was it.
Okay. Well, that's good. Why does the Carlsbad, like him telling you that he was down there, why does that stick in your brain?
I used to frequent that bar.
Okay.
When it was open, I liked to go to the dances and things like that. And when he said that, I said, "Oh yeah, they have good bands over there." And sometimes a lot of the bands that would play there, if they were going through, they would stay at the hotel where I was working.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, I loved to go there.
Okay.
Dancing and listen to the bands
But you never knew Brenda either?
No, I did not know Brenda.
How about any of the other people that bartended there? Sometimes bartenders have good networks together.
No. Other than, like I said, going in and frequenting the bar, maybe saying hi or, just friendly things. As for names, no, I don't.
Okay. Like when he was trying to, flirt with you and things like that, would you classify it as being aggressive or would it be passive? You know what I mean? guess him coming out and asking you should come back to my room is pretty aggressive, but he didn't get handsy or anything like that.
No, he didn't. No, he did. Like I said, he was, straightforward about it. To come back to his room, you should, or during the flirtatious, you should come back to my room. After he's had a couple drinks, and I would tell him no, just go back and go to bed. But that one time I did.
Yeah. Well, the one time that you did, what was different about that? Is it because there was nobody in the bar was closing, and he was still sitting there, or what? Something he said?
At that point, I had talked to him, like I said, he was frequenting, like sitting at the bar almost on a daily basis. And, I would see him daily, not that he would sit there and drink, the whole night, but I would see him daily. He would come in, we would have conversations, he would be flirty. And I think by that point, I might have been feeling just a little bit more comfortable with him.
Sure. Okay. And you said that he's frequenting the bar a lot. If you had to guesstimate, like, how long was he in town for, staying at the Days Inn?
At least a couple months.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay. And these days that he came into your bar, it was the weekday as well, not just the weekend, correct?
Yes, because I worked weekdays. I did work like every other Sunday, or I don't ever remember seeing him there on a weekend. So I assumed he went home.
Okay.
Yes, and if I remember anything, no matter how insignificant it seems, I will definitely reach out.
Yeah, just send me a text message or an email, because typically that's what happens is you have these, like, you hate to say repressed memories, but they kind of are, because they're not really important to you, and then something brings them out, and then all of a sudden you go down to lay down to sleep at night, and you start thinking, and you're like, oh my goodness, all this stuff starts rushing back, and you're like, I should have told him this, I should have told him that. I guarantee it'll probably happen, and when it does, it doesn't matter what time it is, just get it out to me.
I will do that, and I wish you luck, and thank you for doing this for the family. I cannot even imagine how they're feeling right now.
Yeah, well, and again, I'm thanking you, and I'm sure the family will thank you. We don't know where this will go. It may not have anything to do with Ron, but you got to follow it up, and because of your important information, I'm able to do that.
I hope so. I hope I can, help bring some closure.
Right.
To our kids.
Well, I appreciate it, and if anything comes to you, please get a hold of me, and thank you so much for reaching out to me. Again, it's very hard to do, especially given the circumstances that you just told. I know that had to be tough for you. I know it is, but it's so important that you did it, and trust me, if I had a medal, I'd put it around your neck. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't deserve all that, but thank you very much. It's appreciated.
Well, thank you for your courage, okay?
Okay, and like I said, if you have any more questions, please reach out.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
So there you have it. Wow. That's a bombshell interview, okay? I thought Carl's interview was enlightening. A lot of red flags and stuff, and it was certainly needed. That interview with Carl was needed to solve this mystery. But you don't stop there. Remember how everybody was pointing their fingers at Carl? It's Carl, it's Carl. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. There's no evidence there. And now we've moved on to Ron and the boys from out of town. Ron was staying at the Days Inn. That was confirmed by everybody in that crew that I talked to, remember? Did you see any similarities between her interaction? She has no doubt that sketch is of Ron. Remember in the very beginning, I think like episode 8, I said I know who that sketch is. And nobody could identify him. Well, I said that's because he's not from around here. He's from out of town. Betty just confirmed that. She knows that was Ron. Remember, I'm sure you can recall in the interview when I asked her what kind of jacket he was wearing. Because I know the guy in the sketch was wearing a black leather jacket. And I started to shake my head because I knew she was going to say a black leather jacket. And she did. There's no doubt that we're talking about the same person here. Okay? Now, as I told her, this doesn't mean that Ron's guilty. We don't have evidence of that. Okay? This started out as an unknown person, right? Since 1991. Nobody knows who this is. This sketch. Well, guess what? We now know who that sketch is. And I know his last name. I'm not putting it out here. I could have told her, when I asked her, do you know his last name? I know who it is. Okay? The sexual component to this is something that I always felt, and I still feel, is relevant here. Because of statistics, because of my past experience, I know what most murders and missing persons female are because. It's greed, sex, or revenge, but sex is always the top of that list. She explained he tried to choke her. That wasn't the bombshell for me. That might be for a lot of you. For me, it's him being at the bar flirting with the bartender. Okay? Now, you heard her say, and I give her all the credit in the world for coming forward with this information. I was going to say story. It's not a story. This is information. This is how cases get solved. She comes forward and she admits being promiscuous. Well, let me tell you something. Through victimology, I believe Brenda was promiscuous. Now, people don't want to hear that. And I understand. Her family doesn't want to hear that. I understand. But you have to go with truth. Without truth, you can't solve anything. That's why we did victimology first. What would she do in any given situation? And through her victimology, we find out, yes, she is a bit promiscuous. Big deal. She's in her 20s. Who isn't? Okay? You can't judge her. You can't condemn her. So, why is that important? Because it's very possible, if not probable, that Ron is doing the exact same thing to Brenda as he did with Betty, sitting at the end of the bar, waiting for it to close, talking to her, flirting with her, being aggressive with his words by saying, hey, you should come back to my room. And maybe Brenda did the same thing that Betty did. Now, remember the crew that I talked to, okay? Every one of them said he was a womanizer to me. Very important. Because those facts are coming to light now. Which means if he did this to Betty, the same scenario is playing out on February 27th, 1991 in Carlsbad Tavern, which now we can put this guy in on two different levels. Ron told Betty that he went there, and the sketch confirms he was there. It's not just the similarities of the face, the greased back hair, but the black leather jacket. Come on! Now, with all that being said, can we point the fingers at him? No, we can't yet. But what we can do is dig a little deeper now. If he was the last person in that bar, if he was, and again, witnesses are so contradictory. Meaning, remember when I went over that sketch and I said everybody was out of the bar, right? Everybody was gone, according to witnesses, according to that newspaper article, which left Brenda in the bar by herself. If that's the case, I feel you have to look inside that bar, meaning look for conflict, look for something. But if witnesses are mistaken, and it's the one guy in the black leather jacket who's younger, who was sitting at the end of the bar, talking to Brenda all night, like Carl said, that matches this. You see the ebb and flow of cold case investigations, and you see how you can't get tunnel vision on a suspect. Because I guarantee you, half of you, maybe even 3/4 of you, were pointing the finger in the beginning at Carl. Right? I know you were. And then you shifted a little bit once we got to Greg's friend and the drug angle. And then some of those people started pointing the finger there. Whoo, it's there. And now some of you people are coming from that camp over to the Ron camp. So now we're split. That's how cold cases investigations are. There's so much circumstantial evidence that can point to so many different nefarious characters, but they're not all guilty. So what we need to do is to deduce. Okay, we started out with the whole state of Pennsylvania. Got it down to Bellefonte. Got it down to Zion. Whatever it is, you're deducing your pool of suspects until we get to, 5. Okay, it's in here somewhere. They're all good suspects for various reasons. Sex, Ron, greed, Carl, revenge, Greg, whatever it falls under. And then we got them, but it can't be all of them, right? They all couldn't have done it. So then you have to deduce further until one suspect remains. So I feel that this is a very good lead. Police have it. Again, I have to chalk this up to very good police work by the state police. I'm sure that that's who handled it. Could have been Spring Township, whoever it was. They know about Ron. Has it ever been released? Nope. She said she felt that they were asking character questions. That's the exact same thing that his crew told me when they were questioned. They felt like they were asking behavioral type questions about Ron. I understand it. I think it's very good police work. I still don't know how they got onto him. But I feel that they did. I mean, these people have been interviewed. But it didn't go anywhere. Now Betty, added a very crucial element, and she said she kept this from police. But she's coming forward now. That's why doing something like this is so important. Because sometimes people don't want to talk to police, but they'll talk to me. Sometimes they're embarrassed, like she was, to say, hey, I had sex with Ron. Okay, maybe he was married at the time, whatever it was. She didn't want to go in detail about Ron trying to choke her out. It's very crucial. We're on the right steps here. Okay, so stay tuned. This is getting interesting. All right, some more digging we have to do. Hey, anybody else has information as brave as Betty was to come forward and tell me that information that was embarrassing, but she told it anyhow? Man, that's a hero, okay? People that come forward with information like that, even though if it feels that it's going to embarrass them. And she did it for the betterment of the case, for Brenda, and for Brenda's family. So keep coming with that information. Remember, always email me, Ken at kenmains.com. Go to my website, kenmains.com. If you don't want to go to police, email me. I'll follow up on it. Okay? So, very enlightening interview. I hate to use the word bombshell, but it's significant. It really is. So, with that said, hey, thanks for watching this edition of Mystery at Carlsbad's Tavern. And let's get to the end of this thing, man. Let's figure it out. All right? So, for the people of Bellefonte, Zion, Milesburg, Lock Haven, State College, let's do it. Mains out.